What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Friday morning to all of you. December 20th. Thank you for watching Sportsbook Review. This is Betting with the Bag. NHL really got me last night. I just can't seem to get rolling. Kings plus 130 allowed a tying goal with a minute 50 left on a deflection that just squeaked in under the bar. Then lose in overtime. Predators lose in overtime. I was glad to see Babano with some of his dogs cashing in overtime. I'm not getting the bounces right now, and I'm angry. I'm angry. In NBA, everything's coming together, not including pushes. We've hit 13 of our last 18. We're now double-digit units up. Our ROI is beautiful. Everything is good in NBA, and we have Junior Brown joining us in 18 minutes to break down this giant NBA card. Feel like I'm seeing things clearly there, but NHL just really getting at me. And to be sitting here up like less than a unit is irritating. And I need it to be my bread and butter. It's always been my bread and butter, and I just don't seem to be rolling. Gin Rummy, beautiful cash with Carolina Hurricanes. Rod Zawacki, beautiful cash with the Chicago Blackhawks. I told you guys I was afraid of the Jets, but I still had difficulty backing the Blackhawks. The Coyotes lose 8-5. It's that same story when a goalie or any important player comes back after dealing with a family health crisis. The team steps up. Should have been on the over there, was not. And 0-3 night. 0-3 night that could have easily been a nice night. So I'm a little upset. I got a little bit of sleep, and I'm ready to rock. Matt Randall's taint play of the day cashed. There were cashers out there, but I'm a little irritated, so I'm ready to hammer this card with you guys. Nilo in the house, ready to rock and roll. Parlay Portland State moneyline, Northern Arizona moneyline in cash. Thanks, Mike. See those? So I went 2-3 in college basketball. I had a loss by a half point there with Texas State, but Portland State, Northern Arizona, you know, one ended up being a 3.5 point dog, one was a 5 point dog, and they cashed easily. Great job, very smart, Nilo. Throwing a little parlay on with those two money lines. Vinny Cornell in the house. We have Steve Dunn ready to get to work. Rod Zawacki says, Huge Day NHL 173. And he cashed his 10-unit play. Great job. Heart in the hands says, how about those Spurs, Jimmy? Good look. You rolled with me. It was really easy. I felt it was an easy spot, but, you know. Reese says, damn, Rod, you deserve the Vegas Gun Award, bro. I thought you were crazy with the Blackhawks. Well, nice job, bro. We'll never doubt your plays again. Rod Zawacki came extremely close to winning the Vegas Gun Award. Extremely close. He went 2-2 in college basketball, but we know Rod Zawacki's spectacular capper. He came very, very close to winning. He was the only guy up for it. It was not a very good night. He was the only guy up for it. Reese in the house. Rye Cape ready to get to work. Nicholas Fogg. My guy Lizo. Red Girl. Nutflush Allen. The Felt Bandit. Moses Saucedo. Luis Fernando. Esquinza in the house. Says, what about the Bucks, bro? Nice work. Dave Burke got hurt last night. Don't like seeing that. Don't like seeing that, Berkey. Mr. Gogster, Ziggy Balls, AM, ready to go. Alex Ramirez, yeah. The Spidey plays today. Hey, you're still hitting at a high percentage, so there's going to be good nights. There's going to be bad nights. There's Nutflush Allen says, good morning, Jimmy. The entire Nutflush family watching, and we are headed to Newport Beach with the boat to watch the Christmas boat parade and enjoy some drinks. Man, what a family you guys have. Thank you for watching. Much love to all of you. You are our favorite family in sports capping, the Nutflush Allen family. All of you guys, much love to you. Love that you guys are on the boat together as a family. There's Zombie Pie, Jimmy Gomez. Reese says, my Canes are on fire right now. Look, with my futures on them, they're our Canes, baby. But I didn't take him last night, and we watched Gin Rummy get him 24 hours right when the line came out at plus 124. Great job. Reese had lost on the Preds, and Vegas came in overtime. Have not cashed a win in OT, not once in the NHL season. That's going to come back. I mean, it's not going to be like that all year. There's Von Polo in the house. Can't wait to get to Vegas on Wednesday. Yes, I'm going back to Canada tomorrow. I'm excited about getting back there into the to the snow. Vinny Cornell says, "Taint saved my bacon." Thanks, Matt. Yes, great job. And there's Shadow in that 10-2-1, hit a 5-team parlay. Great job. There's Rez Mob says, "Where you been?" We had a strike on our YouTube page, so we were over on Twitch, but I'm back. We're back in action. There's Paco Healy says, "Nut flush, good for you and the family. Beautiful day today. Have fun in Newport." Okay, and Bama boy already got Buffalo -4.5. That first bowl game pops off in just a few short hours from now. Hours from now. Sweaty Butcher, 11-4 last 7 days in the NBA, staying sharp, picking spots. Great job. There's Nigel. There's Nick Arcuria. Isles +170. Great job, Nick. Great job. Great job. Mr. Gokster says -27 at the moment. That's in Belleville, I'm sure, not in Toronto. Come on, Gokster. Come on. Toronto's a little warmer, I'm hoping. All right, let's get to work. We have 4 NHL games we have to break down, and then we're going to have Junior Brown joining us to talk NHL. And after an 0-3 night, my record is disappointing. It is disappointing. Can you pop it up, Rafa, right now? Wow, plus 0.83 units. Okay, it's not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. Robert Cherry Stars money line and the Capitals puck line. Rod Crawford says horrible puck day. Let's go Caps -1.5. I'm a little uncomfortable with the Caps early, and maybe that's a mistake. We have some very rested teams in the NHL. We're going to get to that game. Let's start with Stars Panthers. Going to pop up the best odds page on the planet, sportsbookreview.com. Florida opening up at -135. Now we see them at -121, a 14-cent move towards the Dallas Stars. Dallas on the second half of a back-to-back in Florida, one of those well-rested teams that we're talking about. This total opened at 6. It's now at 5.5. And I get it. Bishop in goal tonight, .933 save percentage. Bobrovsky, only a .903 save percentage on the year, but he's been spectacular of late. In December, 1.69 goals against average, 9.53 save percentage. Oh, and Mr. Gokster's not much, -23. That's not good, Gokster. I did not want to hear that, but I'm still excited to get back to Canada. Stars are on the second half of a back-to-back. Beat the Lightning 4-3 in overtime last night. 3-1-1 with Rick Bowness behind the bench. Man, he hasn't been a head coach since 03-04. I did not know it'd been that long for Bowness. Good guy. Everybody likes him in the NHL. Panthers well rested. Haven't played since a 6-1 home win over the Senators on Monday night. The ninth and final game of a franchise record 9-game homestand. They sit 4-4 through the first 8 games, and I want to back them here. There's been a market move towards the Stars. I did not bet them early. I kind of wanted to talk it out, but the more I think about this, I don't want to back a team at the end of a homestand, but this has not been a good homestand, and this was a homestand where they needed wins. There's M. Wooms in the house. This is a homestand where they needed wins. I'm hesitant to take them. 9 straight home game. You don't hear that yet. It's a franchise record homestand. Alex Ramirez, looks like Spidey might be on the Panthers. Rod Zawacki says Dallas 5-2 on back-to-backs this year. Dallas money line. The Stars are playing good hockey. Imagine if Sagan woke up. Imagine if Ben woke up. I just feel like the Panthers are a well-rested group, and that was a tough overtime game last night. We saw... I don't want to go up against this market move. But Robert Cherry says take the Stars +1.5. The Panthers need this victory badly. And that was a very tough game the Stars just played. A very, very tough game. All right, I'm pulling the trigger on the Panthers. I'm going to take them on the -1 line. I don't like going up against Rod Zawacki. I actually hadn't planned on doing this till I talked it out a little longer. Mr. Gokster says, last night was some of the best hockey I've watched all year. Very irritating hockey for me. Some of the angriest I've been all year watching hockey. All right, I'm going to make it a -1 on these Panthers, and I wasn't planning on doing this. -116 is the money line, and the -1.5, I imagine, is going to be a big spot here for me. -1.5, I'm getting +205 at 5 times. All right. All right. I wasn't planning on doing that, but that's the move. I have a feeling that the Capitals are going to start a little slow. I know that the Capitals and Panthers are both rested teams, but the Panthers have urgency. A 4-4 9-game homestand, Quenneville's going to be all over them. That's not the same with the Capitals. They just had a whole bunch of days off where they go 8-2 over the last 10. The only 2 losses to the Jackets. Oshie rolling, Ovechkin playing well, and they haven't played since Monday. You're not flush. I was thinking about that as well. Has the Taint play? Did they come out yet? There are people talking Taint. No, they haven't. Oh, and Rico Money, big Euro ball play in 55 minutes from our guy, Rico Money. I feel like the Devils can get after this early. We've seen a big market move towards the Capitals, and understandably so. We knew they were going to be a public spot. They're now at minus 190. So I'm going to wait. There's Dale Johnston in the house. I am going to take the New Jersey Devils on the first period in tonight's action. And I am going to wait. I'm going to expect Hischier to score me the goal. But as long as money keeps pouring in on the Capitals, then I'm going to wait. And I'll make it, I'll wait. I'll just wait. Ron Crawford says they were embarrassing me. Best team in the East off a loss. Take it. I disagree because of the amount of days they've had off. So if this was on Wednesday, Robert Cherry says, remember the podcast you did when we went over the Devils and how they play off of rest days? Robert Cherry, I think I understand, but I think this is going to be different. They don't have Taylor Hall. It's Hischier's team now, and Hischier has stepped up. I know he doesn't turn 21 till next month, but he's been a leader in the dressing room. And listen, Ron, I would agree with you if they lost to the Jackets last night or 2 nights ago. And the Taint was just, there it is. Delaware -2. Taint play of the day is in from Matt Randall. Thank you for letting me know, Nilo. Mr. Goak says Devils have went under last 4 games. Not sure here. I tell you one thing I saw in that Devils game was I saw Mackenzie Blackwood play as well as I've ever seen him play. And I saw the Devils play accountable on all areas of the ice. And I am going to take... Skylar says, good morning, Skylar. Man, what a sweetheart you are. I love that you're hanging out with the family today. Enjoy the boat. Enjoy the family times. Enjoy the parade. Skylar, much love to you. What a family the Allens are, man. How much do I love the Nutflush Allen family. Thank you for saying hello, Skylar. Thank you very, very much. What a sweetheart you are. So, back to the Devils spot. I don't see the Capitals' urgency because they've lost to the Jackets. It's just been a few too many days. I am going to take the Devils first period, but I don't see any rush to do that now. Let's just quickly look and see if money keeps coming in on the Capitals. We're going to take a look at Pinnacle, and that's what's happening. They opened up at minus 167 yesterday. They end up at minus 174. By 9 at night, 178. By 10:30 night, 183. By 5:40 this morning, they were minus 190. So I'm going to wait. I will be. There's 1 for the money, 2 for the show. No team is safe in the house. I am going to make a move. And Dave Burke says the guy across the hall is getting sprayed for bed bugs right now. Fade me today. Oh, no, Berkey. There's Shaft joining us. So I will be on Devils first period. I see no reason to rush it. Money will continue coming in on the Capitals. I will make that bet at some point today. All right, let's move on to Leafs Rangers. Do we want to make a move? And Mr. Ghost, 7-cent move to the last 5 minutes to the under in Washington, New Jersey. There's Anthony Christopher in the house ready to get to work. Leafs Rangers, we have 4 minutes now before we're joined by Junior Brown. Do we find value in these New York Rangers? Market has been moving towards them, and that's over the last hour or so. Rangers opened up at plus 150. They're now at plus 138. Let me ensure that I'm on Pinnacle. I am on 5 times, so let's move over to Pinnacle. Let's see where Pinnacle opened up these New York Rangers. Pinnacle opened up the Rangers at plus 141. So there's been a 3-cent move towards the Rangers. Let's take a look at the total here as well. This total at 6.5. I know the Leafs play higher scoring games on the road, but I feel like that's just a little too much. There's David Chamilio in the house. Thank you for joining us. Tabarak McKinney ready to get to work. And Alex Ramirez looking at the Rangers. There's Dominic Lara ready to go. Georgiev versus Anderson. Mr. Gokster says Rangers are scoring for fun. 3-4-1 this month, coming off a 5-2 home loss to the Predators on Monday night, but they're a well-rested group. So this is the third team that hasn't played since Monday. In the first 3 games we've capped, each game has had a team that hasn't played since Monday well-rested. Zibanejad rolling. Kreider starting to roll for the first time all year. And Panarin's been great all season long. Rod Zawakis says Rangers moneyline. Georgie beat the Leafs 2 games last year. He's playing great hockey. Best bet in this game is the under. It does feel like it's too many goals at 6.5. It does. It does. Austin Matthews scored his 20th goal of the season. Second player in franchise history with 20 goals each of the first 4 seasons. Dave Keon, 20 in 6 seasons. Marner's been hot lately. It does. Robert Cherry says, I like the Maple Leafs here, but should have been projected to win by 2 or more goals, but for some reason, the Rangers play them very hard. They do. They do. I think the move here... please do, Nut Flush Allen. We'd love to hear your college football notes in the chat. We'd love that. Does feel like the Rangers and an under could be a spot here. You know, I'm going to have to take some time on that. So I'm going to lean towards the Rangers and the under. And I'm going to leave it at that. I do think 7 goals is a lot, even though both offenses are playing well. I do. All right. Then we have Penguins-Oilers, and I don't want the Oilers. I do not want the Oilers at the first game back home, but they've not been playing very well. They're an angry group. The Pens are playing over their head. I have left money on the table not backing these Pens. Koskinen has been so good. Yari's been so good. Is this another under look? Edmonton opening up under 6 at minus 113, 1 cent move to the under. Pittsburgh as a favorite here. Look, I don't like backing teams first game home, but you know, this might be a spot where it's worth taking them, where it's worth taking the Oilers here. Nilo said, for sure, is Anderson starting? Yes, because we already know that Hutchinson is starting Saturday night. So I know it hasn't necessarily been fully confirmed, but if Hutchinson's starting Saturday night, then Anderson's starting tonight. Nick Arcuri saying, under. Look, I've seen the Oilers been playing the unders, and Koskinen especially. This does feel like an under spot, doesn't it? 6 goals? 6 goals. All right, I am not going to take the Rangers, even though that'd be the only look I'd make. But I'm going to take unders in both of these games. I'm going to take the under 6.5, the under 6.5 in the Rangers game, and the under 6 in the Oilers game. I'm going to do that right now. Okay, under 6.5 in the Rangers game. I'm getting minus 110 at 5 dimes. Under 6.5 at minus 110. And then I will take the under 6 in the Penguins-Oilers game. Under 6. And I'm getting minus 110. That's also at 5 dimes. All right. Now, it's possible that there's a move made on both the Oilers and the Rangers. But I think I'm going to need a little bit more time. And it's funny that I talked these out and now have made more plays. Rod Zweig says Anderson is confirmed, Jimmy. Thank you, Rod. Yeah, because we know that Hutchinson is in the other spot. And Robert Cherry's backing that up and with it. Okay, so let's get into this giant NBA card. Very excited to have Junior Brown back on the show. One of the stars of Jammin' with J Money that can be seen Monday through Saturday at 1 p.m. here at our Sportsbook Review YouTube page. Junior Brown, my man, we've missed you. How are you doing on this Friday morning?
What's up, Jimmy? Excuse me, just getting over a cold, so excuse my voice, but yeah, ready to get into this NBA action. A lot of games today.
A lot of games today, and we're doing good work here on this show. We've hit 13 of our last 18, back up to double-digit units in NBA. Rafa, can we pop up the record? It's the only record right now that I feel really good about. 12% ROI, plus 10.19 units, and 12 games over 500. And feels good. Feels good. So let's get after this NBA card. We have 29 minutes. No need to rush. And I will keep an eye on time. So let's get started. I'd like to be able to touch on all of these games. So let's just go down in order. I'm going to move over to NBA, and I'm going to get spreads and totals here on the Sportsbook Review SBR odds page. And we are going to start off with the Pacers. Indiana opening up at -5, now 4.5. Still a 5 at Bookmaker and Heritage. This total opening up at 206.5, now sitting at 207.5. 6-10 Kings on the road. They're getting healthy. Today is De'Aaron Fox's 22nd birthday. He comes back off the bench in his first game back. 19 points, 8 assists in 30 minutes. It was a 110-102 loss at Charlotte. They had shot 60% the game before, and they came crashing back to earth. Pace last 5, 29th, second last in the NBA. Pacers pace last 5, 10th in the NBA. Bagley is back as well. He's come along a little slower, averaging 13.6.5 rebounds in 4 games since coming back from injury. Pacers coming off that big 105-102 home win over the Lakers. Is this a letdown spot? Sabonis continuing to play very well. And now it looks like TJ Warren and Jeremy Lamb are both questionable. Warren with illness and Lamb with a groin injury. Kings, Pacers, Junior Brown, what are your feelings here? Have you made a move?
I was actually leaning Indiana -4.5 until I saw those injuries because one thing about the Pacers, they're not a superstar-driven team, right? They're a by-committee approach, as I like to say. And if you look at the way their committee works, Domantas Sabonis, basically, Brogdon averages 19, Sabonis averages 18, Warren averages 17, and Lamb averages around 15. So now you're taking out the third and fourth leading scorers out of that lineup. Not really sure. I think I might be leaning Kings plus the 4.5 here. The Kings are getting healthy. I think you cannot underestimate the value that Bagley and De'Aaron Fox bring back to their lineup because they were already looking decent without those guys. One thing that Jay Money always talks about because he doesn't like Luke Walton as a coach, and the fact that he keeps bringing Bagley off the bench is not something I'm in love with, but I mean, if you're bringing De'Aaron Fox and Marvin Bagley out the bench against the Pacers that's not at full strength, I think I'm actually kind of leaning towards the Kings here in this spot.
I get it, but I have hesitance going against the Pacers, even without Warren and Lamb, and they're both questionable. I think that we might want to hold off and find out. If you find out that one or two or both of them are in, does that switch you back over?
I would say that it would have to be Lamb of the two because TJ Warren doesn't really defend, whereas Lamb, the difference in offense is 2 points a game, whereas Lamb is a much better defender. He's a versatile defender. You can put him on different guys. So I would say that I think Lamb of the two is the one I'm looking out for the most. But the Pacers need all the points that they can get, right? It's not like their offense is so high flying that they can just say, okay, next man up. I mean, they're 18th in points per game for a reason. They need their full squad. I know Victor Oladipo's coming back, but the Kings have just been frisky. I think that's just really what my whole problem with this. I don't want to take the pay. If for example, if you're talking one of the two big men being hurt, like Turner or Sabonis, they can kind of deal with that more because I actually think that Sabonis plays better without Turner on the floor, even though Turner is the defensive stopper of the two. But their wing guys against Sacramento's wings, that's the strength of the Kings team is their wing play, right? I know Bagley's back, but he just came back. Other than Bagley, they have no inside presence. They're a wing perimeter-oriented team, so I just think I need Indiana to be solid on their perimeter if I'm going to take them, if I'm going to lay 4.5 points with them right now.
I get it. I absolutely get it. And that'll be one of the games that I'm going to continue studying throughout the day and see what's going on with Lamb. We do have the Audible with Donnie Rightside and Whale Capper. this afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern. Looking forward to get back with them as well. All right, let's move on to Grizzlies, Cavaliers. JB, Grizzlies, Cavaliers. Grizzlies opening up at -2. There is a 2.5 at Bovada. This total opened up at 224, now 222. The only thing the Cavaliers have done well this year is beat teams that are below 500. They're 6-5 against teams below 500. They've only won 3 over their last 19 games, coming off a 198 victory over the Hornets on Wednesday. Sexton looked good. C.D. Osman looked good. Kevin Love, 16 points, 14 boards, and 7 assists. He is leading this team, but only against bad teams. Memphis had won 4 or 5 before letting that huge lead go in that loss to Cincinnati or to Oklahoma City on Wednesday. 126-122, 24-point lead that they gave away. Brandon Clark is a monster. I just love seeing him shine in the NBA. John Morant went 2 for 10 from 3 and missed some big shots. Valanciunas continues to play well for this squad. Grizzlies, Cavaliers. This is an interesting spot. Gerald Jones says double up on Memphis. What do you think about this spot here, JB?
I hate laying points with Memphis on the road. I'll start by saying that. That being said, he might have a point there because if you look at the Grizzlies' last 5 games, they're 4-1 ATS. They've won 4 of their last 6 overall, and they've been playing at a really fast pace, scoring 118 points a game, hitting 39% of their threes. Like they have something going right now. Now you just mentioned that Cleveland's only beating bad teams. I think the way that the Grizzlies looked against the Miami Heat to me was really impressive. They literally led that game from start to finish, and they're getting contributions from a lot of different guys. So in this 6-game stretch that I just mentioned, John Morant's averaging 20, Dillon Brooks is averaging 19, Jaren Jackson Jr. is averaging 20, and Brandon Clark's averaging 20. So if you've got 4 guys now that are giving you about 20 points a game, and what I love about John Morant, I'd made a comment on Twitter that I thought that John Morant was going to be who we thought Westbrook should be. And some people kind of came at me, but in this stretch, even though he went 2 for 10 from 3 the other day, he's scoring 20 points a game on 55% from the field and 7 assists a game. Just think that they're a really frisky team, and if you're them, I look at, like if I'm them and I'm playing as well as they're playing, and I look at the Cleveland Cavaliers, what am I afraid of on Cleveland? Right, I think Brandon Clark actually matches up very well with Kevin Love. And if not Brandon Clark, then Jaren Jackson Jr. I think John Morant has a size advantage over both Sexton and Garland. I can't even believe this, but I would actually lay the 1.5 points with the Grizzlies here because I just think at the moment they're the better team. Nothing about Cleveland tells me that I should be betting on them. They're not a bet-on team for me at all.
I absolutely agree, and I imagine that the Grizzlies will become quite a public play. Quite a public play. Mally Mal liking the Cavs here. And, I agree. I agree that the Grizzlies, they're just a better basketball team.
Listen, Jimmy, I am not confident in laying points. I mean, it's the first thing I said, right? Mm-hmm. If you're laying points with the Grizzlies on the road, it's not a great spot. But if you're just asking me who is the better team right now, I have to say the Grizzlies are because they just look better against better competition. What about the Cavaliers tells you that you should ever put money on them? You know what I mean? Like, if it was a bigger spread than a 1-possession spread, you're talking 3.5 Grizzlies, then I would be on the Cavs. But a 1-possession spread, I don't know. I think I got to go with the better team.
Oh, Mally Mal says, no, I'm not liking the Cavs, Jimmy. Okay, I just saw that you had, I guess you were answering.
And I respect Mally Mal's opinion because he gives out good advice in the chat. He's he's on all the shows. He watches. He's a great supporter of the channel, so I respect his opinion for sure.
Oh, absolutely. But I was wrong. He says, no, I'm not liking the Cavs, Jimmy. I just saw him write Cavs earlier, but he says, no, I'm not. I guess he was answering a question there. Yeah, Mally Mal, great cap. Rod's wacky on Cavs money line. Big Lou just took Memphis at -1. We got Dirt White Coy. Also, Coy is more. Says, finally made a YouTube account I've always watched, but now I can be in the chat to let you guys know what I'm with, y'all. Let's get this money. Coy is more. I love that stuff. That makes me so happy. I just absolutely love that stuff. Coy is more. Getting a YouTube account so he can jump in the chat. Respect. Coy is more. I'm looking forward to hear what you're on. One for the money says, Grizz is the play. Grizz is the play. Okay. God. I'm hesitant. I'm just hesitant. What do you think of this market move? And let's be tight on this because we got to get to the next game. But the market move from 224 now down to even 221.5. A bookmaker going down with the pace of the Grizz. Are you surprised that the market's going down?
No, because Jim Boeheim, I think that for all his faults as a professional head coach, in college he proved that he's good strategically, right? So if you're him and you're looking at the fact that the Grizzlies are playing at a breakneck pace right now during this run, you're not going to go in there and try to run up and down with this team, not the way that your team is built. They're paying in the last 6 games. The Grizzlies are playing at a pace of 104.8, which is extremely fast. So I think that the home team, the Cavaliers, are going to look to slow things down if they want to come away with a victory here.
Yeah, that makes sense, too, for sure. And our guy, Chandre Thornton, says, I'm from Cleveland. We're definitely going to lose. So we got Chandre. I love Cleveland as a city, man. That's the only way I could afford to see LeBron. I couldn't afford to see him in Toronto. I'd have to go down to Cleveland, and I enjoyed those trips immensely. All right, let's move on to the next spot. Wizards, Raptors. Wizards, Raptors. Raptors opening up at -6, now -6.5. This total at 230, and this is a very tricky game now with the injuries that the Raptors are dealing with to Gasol and Powell, possibly getting Van Fleet back, but Van Fleet was dealing with that knee issue, so a knee contusion. I don't know if you're going to want to play him 30 or 35 minutes. Ski Profit, and I love seeing Ski says Grizz early. This has become a tricky cap. The Wizards are trash, and all these injuries with their bigs, and now without Gasol, we only have Serge Ibaka to really take advantage of it. And I kind of enjoyed watching Anses Pazikniks make his NBA debut, the 7'1" Latvian, 9 points, 8 boards, 28 minutes. He was serviceable. David Bertans stepping up for the Wizards with these injuries to their bigs. He put up 26 points for the Wizards in that 110-109 overtime home loss to the Bulls. So this has become a very tricky cap. And that's why you are getting this offer of 6 points with the Raptors against this terrible Wizard squad on the road. You would think that would be something you jump all over, but I'm not sure. I can't wait to hear your breakdown of the spot. Wizards, Raptors, take it away, Junior.
I actually am leaning towards the under in this spot. The reason I'm looking at the total here, I think 230 points is a lot of points considering all of the offensive firepower that's missing in this game. We know, first of all, who the hell went into the Raptors training facility overnight with a baseball bat and started taking out all their dudes? Like, how could 3 guys in one day be on the injured list with no expected return date? That I've never seen anything like that. 3 starters in one day is crazy. But I think the under is a play in this game because of the injury to Hachimura. I don't know if you saw how he got injured. They say that he's out with a groin injury. No, he's out with an old-fashioned kick to his balls that took him out, and he's supposed to be out for the next couple of weeks. Without Hachimura, without Thomas Bryant, who plays inside for Washington? Where is their rim protection? I just think that the Raptors squad has dealt with injuries since Kyle Lowry and Serge Ibaka went down. Now they have a new set of injuries. I think they're actually better equipped to deal with these injuries. And I think that the Wizards, without Hachimura, without Thomas Bryant, they're already thin talent-wise as it is. Now you take out the only bigs, and Hachimura is barely a big. You take out the only bigs that they have, I think that the advantage is to Toronto. I also think that Toronto's probably going to have to slow down their pace just with the situation that they have because we mentioned Normal Powell's out, Pascal Siakam's out, Marc Gasol's out, and Fred VanVleet is questionable. So are they going to run up and down with Boucher and Davis and, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson? I don't see it. I think this is going to be a slow-paced game, a game that the Raptors win. But I'm not laying 6 points with a team that has, 3/4 of their 60% of their starting lineup is not even there. So I think that the under 230 is the play for me.
That does make sense. So we're going to have what? We're going to start. I mean, what do we do with OG Anunoby? So we're going to have Hollis Jefferson so it'll go Ibaka at the 5, Jefferson at the 4, Anunoby at the 3. Do we move McCaw to the 2, or do we use Terrence Davis at the 2? Who do we have at the 2?
I mean, your guess is as good as mine, Jimmy. I mean, listen, Nick Nurse is a very good coach, and if he can get the Raptors through this stretch without those 3 guys, people are going to have to start putting a lot more respect on his name. He did it without Serge and Kyle. If he can do it now without Norman, Powell, Gasol, and Siakam, who if the season were to end today, has a case to be an all NBA type player. I mean, we're going to have to start giving Nick Nurse way more credit than he's getting. I know that people think that he walked into a team that was already built, but he's gotten these guys to be much better than most experts predicted. And I'm showing him respect by thinking that they're still going to win this game. I just don't want to lay 6 points, though. Like you just said, we don't even know who's going to be starting.
I think this makes a ton of sense, and I think the under makes a ton of sense. We're getting this giant under 230. I don't think the market knows what to do. I don't think the gamblers know what to do. But after this breakdown, I think we know what to do, and that is to take the under. I'm going to jump on the under 230. That will be my first look on this card. Under 230, I'm getting minus 105. That's available at Pinnacle and 5 Dimes. Under 230 at minus 105. Going to be a fun game to watch. Okay, let's move on to Pistons Celtics. Here, Pistons Celtics. This total opened up at 215. It's now at 213 or 213 and a half. Boston opens up at -7 and is now at -9. And my first instinct was that's too many points. And I was sort of surprised that the market was going towards the Celtics coming in off that 109-103 win over the Mavericks in Dallas on Wednesday. They did that with no Hayward, no Smart, no Poyer, and no Williams. Hayward now questionable, but the rest of them are out. Walker, Brown, and Tatum are monsters, don't get me wrong. But, Drummond is back. He went for 22 and 18. The Pistons just came off a 6 for 35, 17% from 3 against the Raptors. Griffin, I know he's hurting, but I still think this is probably too many points. Nasty Nate says Celtics Hulk smash. I don't know. I think that this might be too many points. Take it away, Junior. What do you think here, Pistons Celtics?
I'm with Nasty Nate, man. I got Celtics first half and Celtics full game. I only had them first half as my initial play. I decided to take them full game when I saw that Blake Griffin and Luke Kennard were both listed as questionable. I think that something that you just mentioned is very important. So the Pistons are actually 4th in the league in three-point percentage. They don't make a lot of threes because of their pace, but they make a high percentage of the ones they take. But if you don't take many, even if you shoot a high percentage, it only takes one off night for that to really, really have a big effect on the way that you guys score points. Because even though you would think that Drummond has an obvious advantage over Tice on the inside, I kind of don't see it that way. I think if the Pistons are having to go through Drummond offensively, they're not as good of a team. Luke Kennard and Blake Griffin are their two playmakers. I know Derrick Rose has been playing really well, and he's a point guard. He's a shoot first point guard. He does average 6 assists a game, but sometimes those stats can be misleading because even though he does average 6 assists a game, his usage rating is so high. When he's in the game, he dominates the ball. Without those two, Kennard and Blake Griffin, I actually think it's going to be too much Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose actually has the highest usage percentage on that team, even though he's not a starter, but he plays starter-type minutes because he's a closer for them. I just think it's too much Derrick Rose, actually, to beat the Celtics team. If Derrick Rose is going to be taking 20-plus shots, I don't see the Pistons winning this game. And even if Kennard and Blake Griffin play, they're not going to be 100%. And my final point is I've actually been watching the Celtics a lot lately. The Pistons a lot lately. They don't look good. There's nothing about this team that convinces me that they're a good team. Yeah, they got that big win at Houston not that long ago. But other than that, I can't tell you the last time they beat a team that was even decent.
Well, that will at least keep me off of it for now. I hear that. We got Dominic in the house. Says, any picks that I missed? You missed some NHL picks, and we'll go over them. But right now, the only move I've made is the under 230 in the Wizards-Raptors after Junior's great breakdown. I was close to making a move on Pistons. I really wanted to hear what you had to say about that. Let's move on to Mavericks-Sixers. Mavericks-Sixers. Let's see what SBR odds page telling us about the market moves here in this spot. for the Mavs. Sixers opened up at -8. There's now a couple 8.5s on the board, a few actually, and Pinnacle leading that charge. His total opened up at 213.5. Now we see it at 212.5. Mavericks 10-2 on the road. Sixers just suffered their first home loss, 14-1 at home. Both teams pace in the bottom third of the league over the last 5. Sixers got their first loss, 108-104 to the Heat on Wednesday. I was on the Heat and I was pumping my fist throughout that game. Embiid 22 and 19. Tobias Harris 20 points. Mavs coming off 109-103 home loss to the Celtics on Wednesday. Still going to be no Luka. KP has looked better without Luka. Seth Curry goes for 20. Brunson gets 11 assists, and I'm very interested to hear your breakdown. Do the Sixers come out angry? We saw how they had difficulty with the zone. Do the Mavericks come out angry? What's your thought here, Mavericks-Sixers?
The one thing that's keeping me off of the Sixers in this matchup actually is not player-wise, it's coaching-wise. I think that Rick Carlisle is a far superior coach to Brett Brown, not even close. And I think for that reason, he had to have watched that game where Miami played, I think, like 40% of the game they played a zone. Now, I'm not saying that Dallas is going to come out and play in zone for that much of a game, because in the NBA it's pretty rare. But don't be surprised if Dallas uses some of the things that they saw Miami do to mess up this Philly team. This Philly team is still not a good half-court team. And as long as Ben Simmons, your point guard, refuses to shoot in the clutch, you're always going to be susceptible to these type of situations. I think Philly as a home team is one of the best teams in the NBA, so I think they win. I just think that 8 points might be a little bit too much for my liking. I don't want to lay 8 points with the Sixers, who've lost 2 straight games here.
Yeah, and Dallas is dangerous. Farshad Asami says Mavs good road cover team. I like the Mavs. Mally Mouse has been fading Pistons since that loss when they beat the Rockets. Rockets a stay away team for me. Okay, let's keep rolling. I don't know if I want to make a move here. I don't. In fact. Okay, let's move on to Knicks Heat. The Sweaty Butcher in the chat. He's been running real hot in NBA. He likes the under in this Knicks Heat game, and he's going up against the market. It's all the way up to 217. Open at 214. It's all the way up to 217 at Bookmaker and Bovada. 216.5 everywhere else. Miami opening up at -10. Now -9.5. Knicks 3-3 since turning it over to Mike Miller, and getting a ton from their reserves. Mitchell Robinson goes for 22 in that 143-120 home win over Atlanta on Tuesday. Both teams coming off big wins for them. RJ starting to roll again. I'm so happy that he kind of got over that little bump in the road, playing very good basketball right now. He scored 27 points Tuesday, 22 on December 11th against the Warriors. Second in the NBA rookies in steals, third in rebounds, fourth in scoring, and fourth in assists as well. I just love it. All-round, well-rounded ball player. Heat won 5 of their last 7. That was a big win, 108-104 over the Sixers. And this team seems, I know this is Jimmy's team, but when Kendrick goes for 20 or more, they are 8-1. And Kendrick and RJ going up against each other for Rookie of the Year right now. Knicks Heat, take it away, Junior. What do you think?
I've actually got the Heat in the first half -6 here. Anyone that watches Jammin' with J Money knows I'm a huge Heat guy. J Money actually calls them my team because I play them so much. But they've been cashing tickets for me all season, and I don't think I'm going to stop doing it until they go on an extended losing streak, which hasn't happened yet. Matchup-wise, the Knicks are definitely frisky. I don't want to lay the full game points here because the Knicks are the number 1 offensive rebounding team in the NBA, and I put a lot of value into offensive rebounding because you're just getting extra possessions, you're cleaning up garbage, getting easy points, and I think that has them busting spreads. The 3-3 record since Fizdale has gone doesn't really convince me. They played some pretty shitty teams in that during that run. I know they're a really bad team too, so a win is a win to them. But I don't put too much stock into a 2-point win over Golden State and a 2-point win over Sacramento. Sacramento's not a terrible team, but Sacramento, if you watch that game, they kind of just gave that game away to the Knicks. They couldn't really make any shots. Don't want to be too long-winded here. I'm a huge Heat guy. They average 118 points a game at home while allowing 103. I think the Knicks are in a world of trouble in the first half here.
It's an interesting look, Heat first half. We do have a question that I will ask you as soon as we get through these last couple of games from Heart in Hand. But a first half look on these Miami Heat is a very interesting look. Open at 6 now at 5.5. Heat first half is a JB look. Heat first half, JB. Okay, let's move on to Suns Thunder. Suns Thunder. Thunder playing good ball, and I love this stuff. I love when a guy is gotten rid of, like Chris Paul was, and he steps up, and he likes being there. And, you know, buying the whole team suits like that, I mean, there's something good happening in OKC, and they're the first team in 2 decades to win back-to-back games where they were down 24 points in each. Paul, 24 points, 7 boards, 6.5 assists in the last 2 games. 10 turnovers over his last 8 games. Dennis Schroeder rolling as well. And the Suns are trying to work DeAndre Ayton back in, and Devin Booker could be back. I don't know if you know if he'll be back, dealing with the forearm soreness. Oklahoma City opening up a minus. Oh, that's first half, of course. I was like, what the hell? It can't be -2. Oklahoma City full game opening up at -4. This total opened up at 219 and now at 222. -4. I mean, they're begging us to take Oklahoma City here. Should we fall into their trap?
This is a stay away game for me for one simple reason, and that's DeAndre Ayton. He actually looked really good in their last game, and DeAndre Ayton is an absolute game changer for the Phoenix Suns, not just with his offense, but with the potential of his defense. And I say the potential of his defense because, as a recruit coming into the NBA, people talked about his ability to play defense. Last year as a rookie, he did not look good defensively, not because of effort, but I think he just gets a little bit confused when you're a guy as big as him and you're used to being physically dominant. When you get to a level of basketball where everyone, your level of physical dominance is not as great as it was in your previous experience. That's something that's a little bit tough to deal with, which is maybe one of the reasons why he decided to use performance-enhancing drugs. Who knows? So all of that being said, I don't want to touch a game involving Phoenix until I see DeAndre Ayton play a couple more times. And I want to touch on something you said as well. The Oklahoma City Thunder were down 24-plus points to the Bulls and the Grizzlies at home. I mean, is that supposed to convince me? So they came back and won against 2 really shitty teams? I mean, I guess. I'm staying away from this completely.
And I did not know this. Thank you to Robert Kahn. Now I do. DeAndre Ayton will not play this evening with an ankle sprain. How does that change your cap? How does that change things?
Oh, Oklahoma City -4 it is, Jimmy.
Right? I mean, doesn't that make sense now?
Yeah, I mean, with no Devin Booker, I mean, we don't know if he's coming back or not. So a questionable Devin Booker and no DeAndre Ayton. Let me tell you something, and you've been paying attention to this clearly because you've been cashing tickets on the NBA. The Phoenix Suns are not a bet-on team right now. They look horrible. So it would have to be Oklahoma City or nothing for me.
Well, I totally understand your point about coming back from 24 to these shit basketball teams, but there is something good happening in that OKC locker room, and I suspect it's that Westbrook's not in it. That's what I suspect, and I think that they could become a buyer all of a sudden come the trade deadline. I'm going to take the Thunder here, -4. I'm going to back these Thunder right now. -4, -105. That's available at a couple different books. One of them being Heritage, the other one being 5 Dimes. Jumping on Thunder, -4 and -105. All right. Bob Ruby as well, jumping on me. And Ninja Chris says Booker will cover. He's a killer. He is, but a forearm strain, there's no doubt that could affect his shot, and there's no doubt that could get hurt again in the game, even if he does play. All right, let's move on to Timberwolves, Nuggets. How many games we got? 1, 2, 3. Okay, we got to be quick here. Let's see if we can touch on them real quick. Timberwolves, Nuggets. Nuggets opening up at -10.5, now 10s across the board. This total at 216, now 216.5. And again, Robert Kahn, Tyron Coleman, those guys in the chat letting us know what's up with the injuries. Very, very helpful. Thank you. And Alexis San Diego says Ayton makes no difference. He didn't play for 25 games.
He makes no difference.
I do think he
settle down, bro. No difference, like none. Come on, bro. You're better than that. You can't say none. That's crazy.
Timberwolves, Nuggets. Nuggets 4-0 since that really ugly Eastern Conference swing. Nuggets 28th in the NBA, pace last 5. Wolves, pace last 5, 8th in the NBA. Nuggets got Paul Millsap back, and I lost on that under, and that was a bad under. I didn't think Millsap was going to be back, and that was a mistake. Timberwolves are a sinking ship. Lost 8 in a row, coming off 107-99 loss at home to the Pelicans. I can't even say sinking ship without thinking about that Hillebrand comment with the Blue Jays back in the day when he wrote it on the chalkboard and then walked out of the clubhouse. Timberwolves played without Karl Anthony Towns, left knee sprain. He may be out again. Mally Mal says the Wolves are bad. Farshad Sami says Wolves. Elliot V says need to know if Wolves are playing. What do you do here, Wolves Nuggets?
I'm actually on the under in this spot, and it has to do with the last game that they played that I actually watched. So in the last game that they played, the game went into overtime, and the total still ended up at 198. So the high-scoring Minnesota Timberwolves could only manage 98 points in, let's call it 4.5 quarters, because overtime is obviously not a full quarter. I think that the fact that they allowed Denver to come into their house and control the pace of that game is very telling for what's going to happen in this game. First of all, Karl Anthony Towns is questionable for this game. He didn't play in their last game because he has some kind of a knee problem. And that game that I keep referencing where the total was 198, it was played at a pace of 97.2. Now, the Wolves' normal pace at home is closer to like 104 and change. So if Denver can control the pace at Minnesota, they're definitely going to control the pace at home where they play even slower than 97. I think that this has Denver all over it. I will never lay that many points with the Nuggets full game because I absolutely do not trust their offense. Their offense is just not good. But I just think with a questionable Towns, the pace that the Nuggets like to play, which is second from last in the NBA, everything points towards the under 216 for me in this game.
That's a very interesting look. Very, very interesting look. I love it. Okay, I can't hum and haw on these things. I'm going to make some decisions over the next little bit. Let's quickly touch on Magic Blazers. You know what? We only have time for one of these games. What would you prefer talking about, Magic Blazers or Pelicans Warriors?
I'm going to have to go with Magic Blazers. Pelicans Warriors, yuck.
Okay. Okay, Magic Blazers. Blazers open up at -3.5, now 4.5. This total's gone from 216 to 217.5. Magic pace last 5, 27th in the NBA. Blazers pace last 5, 19th in the NBA. Orlando's dropped 5 of its past 6. Magic led against the Jazz, and they couldn't hold it on Tuesday. Then the very next night, the Nuggets go for 24 straight points against them. This team is not showing heart. Aaron Gordon is not playing well, averaging 8 points over his last 3 games. I mean, I had much higher expectations of him when he was coming out of college. Denver beat up Orlando, 68-44 in the second half. Blazers have won 3 of 4, 122-112 win over Golden State. That really got me because I had him on the show at 10, but I bet him at 9.5. Damian Lillard, 31 points, 13 assists. McCollum, 30 points. Hassan Whiteside plays when he wants to, and when he wants to, he plays very well. Portland beats up Orlando. They beat him 8 out of the last 10 times in Portland, and have beat him 5 straight overall. Magic Blazers, JB, what are you thinking here?
I don't have an official play on this game. I would actually be leaning. At first, I was actually leaning Magic plus the points because even though the things that you mentioned, they didn't look good in their last 2 games, it's a really tough situation to go into Utah and then the very next night go into Denver and expect to win. I think that the Magic were, I swear to you, Jimmy, they've been a lot closer in some of these losses than you might think. And I'm not a believer in what Portland has. I've said on many occasions I think they have literally the worst front court in the NBA. That front court has played much better. But I just think that Orlando could keep this game close, which is why I would actually stay away from the spread and I would look more towards a total. I think that the under is worth a look in this situation. 217 seems like a lot of points. If the Magic have a prayer of keeping this game close, they're going to have to keep Portland to 110 or less. So I think the under might be worth a look here. I don't have an official play on it, but I think the under might be worth a look.
I love it. I love capping with you, Junior Brown. Thoughtful, insightful. I enjoy it immensely. Follow this man on Twitter. I want to give out your Twitter handle, but first, Junior, can you please let us know what are the official looks that you are on?
Yeah, let me just pull them up right here. So I've got the Celtics first half -4.5, full game -9. I've got the under 230 in the Raptors Wizards. I've got the under 216 in the Wolves Nuggets, and I've got the Heat -6 in the first half.
I love it. And follow this man on Twitter at JRBROWNE21. Junior Brown with an E. 21. Follow him on Twitter. Thank you so much for joining us. I enjoy capping these NBA cards with you immensely. Much love to you. Catch him 1 p.m. Eastern today and tomorrow on Jammin' with J Money. Have a great show, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Jimmy. Anytime you need me, just holler. I love being on your show. Low baggers, good luck and cash some tickets tonight.
I love it. There he is, Junior Brown. Just before we go to Teddy Covers, a couple things here. Lanil, your dad celebrating a birthday today. Happy birthday to your father. We are very thankful he created you. So we have a member of the capping community whom we love in our chat every day. Shout out to Lanil Land and his father. And then Julio Ochoa giving us Chavez Jr. versus Jacobs under. I copied and pasted that. Chavez Jr. Chavez Jr. Jacobs under from our guy Julio Ochoa. I copied and pasted that. Let's bring in our guy Teddy Covers. Friday morning, the bowl season has arrived. Teddy Covers, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing all right, Jimmy. How about yourself, man? I'm excited for bowl season arriving in just a couple hours from now.
Just a few hours. My NBA is continuing to look good. We now have a 12% ROI, and we're back up double-digit units. But I just can't seem to get hot in NHL, and that's supposed to be my bread and butter, so it's really kind of irking me. I lost 2 games in overtime last night, and one was a nice plus 130 dog, and that 130 dog was up 2-1 in a deflection with 1 minute and 50 seconds left that just squeaked in under the bar. So I'm upset, but the Spurs was an easy casher last night. And before we get into bowls, which we desperately want to get into, have you made any moves on this NBA card?
One. And only one. I considered a bunch, but I'm not looking to fire away in the NBA. I'm just giving it a couple days after those 4 straight losses by a point or a half point. Got me a little bit frustrated earlier in the week. But I played the Knicks. I put 10 in my pocket with the Knicks. I think it's 9.5 now down in New York, and it's. I understand that Miami's been really good in this role. I don't love this spot for the Heat. And the Knicks are 5-1 ATS since Mike Miller took over. Every quote out of that team is positive right now. And I haven't heard every quote out of the Knicks being positive in a long time. And again, you look at the Knox, the young trio of Knox, Barrett, and Robinson. All of a sudden, those 3 guys are looking like players who you want your money on, and you throw in the veteran complement, you throw in Elfrid Payton back at the point. I got a little bit of buy sign on the Knicks right now. I took them tonight in Miami. Even at 9.5, I wouldn't talk you out of it.
Knicks backing the Knicks 3-3 since the coaching change, and a lot of hope all of a sudden, and I love what RJ is doing. And that bench, I mean, look what Mitchell Robinson doing off the bench. There was one game on this card that we didn't cap, and I do want to ask you about one game. Alex Santiago has a question. Says, please ask Teddy what his take on NBA teams coming back from like a 4 or 5 game road trip. Bet on or fade. And there are a couple. I imagine Teddy's going to say that there's different angles that you have to look at. You can't it's not just simply, how they did on the road trip is important. But in NHL and NBA, I personally do not like backing teams just from a general standpoint coming home first game. But let's hear Teddy's take on it. What do you think of teams coming back in NBA from a 4 or 5 game road trip?
Yeah, the answer is always going to be it depends. A lot of it has to do with the road trip itself. A lot of it has to do with how they ended the road trip the last game. A lot of it has to do with, is it a short turnaround? Did you get home and now you're playing the next day, or do you have a day or two to get your affairs in order? So there's no absolutes. But in general, I don't look to lay points with teams, and especially bigger points with teams in that first game back off an extended road trip. Not necessarily a 3-game trip when they've been gone for more than a week. that first game back can be sluggish. So I don't look to lay. And again, a difference between smaller favorites and bigger favorites and underdogs. It's the bigger favorites I tend to avoid off the return home, off a successful road trip. They tend to be a little bit fat and happy.
They do. And Gondrepreneur talking NFL, and I do love that Steelers look. And I made it my 2-unit play in pick six, but I've been having insomnia and just not thinking clearly, and I haven't bet it yet, but I will. I still need to bet that. So thank you for mentioning it, Gondrepreneur. And we do want to hear Teddy's looks in NFL. We need to milk Teddy heavy here. So I know we need to talk Pelicans Warriors. It's just the last game we haven't capped. Total at 224, now down to 222 at some books. Pinnacle, the high water mark here at 223. Pelicans opening up at -1, now -1.5. New Orleans, the Pelicans had lost 13 in a row before that 107-99 win against the Wolves. Wolves without Cat. Ingram went off for 34. Redick playing well. Warriors have lost 5 straight, coming off the 122-112 loss at Portland. Russell goes for 26 in that spot. Pelicans pace last 5 15th. Warriors pace last 5 17th. Pelicans 3-11 on the road. Warriors 2-10 at home. Do you see an angle here? Do you have a lean, whether it be side or total?
If I was going to play this game, I'd be looking at the over. All right. I understand the pace numbers for these two teams do not support this over of late. However, Warriors don't play any defense. Pelicans don't play any defense. This is the type of game where the shooting percentages are likely to be high, and they played a couple times already this season, and we've seen that already in those ball games. So I have a slight lean towards the over. I know I can't lay points with New Orleans, okay, especially coming off a win when they finally snapped that skid. I have no interest in laying it with the Pelicans. At the same time, asking the Warriors to actually win a game is not something that I'm looking to do either. We've seen Golden State show signs of hanging tough, but in every game the Warriors play, there's a stretch, whether it's 5 minutes, 8 minutes, 2 quarters, where they're completely lifeless on the defensive end of the court. So if I had to play this one, I would definitely look at the over.
Look at the over. I totally get it. I get it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to first move over to NCAA basketball very, very quickly because we want to focus on football, NCAA football first and NFL second. So let's just get a look and hear what Teddy's on in NCAA so that we can talk about it on the late show. That's pretty much the idea here. Teddy, do you have any looks on this NCAA basketball card?
I did not make a move on the NCAA basketball card. I did not come close to making a move on the NCAA basketball card. There was absolutely nothing that stood out to me, and that makes it real easy. Pass.
Beautiful, because that'll get us right into bowl season. All right, so we're going to talk about the first 2 games, and then we're going to talk about the games that will be in action before Teddy joins us on Monday. And on Monday, Ian Cameron is hosting the show, so it'll be Ian and Teddy, which means the college football breakdowns you'll get will be spectacular. But let's talk about the games before that. Let's first talk about Buffalo. We've already been told from our guy in the chat, Joey Harb, that there's 29-mile-per-hour winds in the Buffalo game. You gave out Buffalo at -4.5, and now the 7s are here. There were 6.5s available for a long, long time, but now it's -7. This total has, let's take a look here what it's done. It keeps going down. It keeps going down. We talked about it yesterday. We talked about the weather issues. It's now at 51.5 at Bet Online. At these numbers, -7, and with a total of 51, and this game popping off in I believe, less than an hour, what moves would you make Buffalo, Charlotte?
Yeah, 2 hours. You still have time.
Okay, 2 hours.
At the current numbers, I do absolutely nothing. Not a thing. Buffalo was out there at 4.5. They were out there for weeks at 6.5. If you lay 7 with Buffalo right now, there's handicapping skills and there's betting skills. Okay. If you lay 7 with Buffalo right now, you need to work on your betting skills. Flat out. Can't do it. You cannot get the worst of the number and miss the key number in a game that was widely available everywhere. Can't do it. So if you're doing that, you're likely to struggle to be a profitable handicapper. That's just so I love Buffalo at 4.5. I want no part of any. The first time bowlers especially, Liberty never been to a bowl game. It's a big pain in the butt in terms of logistics and getting everybody out there and getting everybody ready and getting everybody family and friends tickets. And there's a lot of off-field distractions. And the programs that have never been in that spot before, for the early bowl games, for me, it's a knee-jerk. I bet against them every time because they're not ready. And Buffalo might kill this team. In terms of the wind, and it's definitely worth noting, all right? Neither one of these two teams is going to throw the football all over the field. Neither one of these two teams is likely to be dramatically affected by the wind conditions because that's not the nature of their offenses. So, if I had to make a play right now, of course I'm going to look to the Buffalo side, and I would probably look to the over side after that. This total's been bet down more than a touchdown based on these wind conditions that are nasty. Agreed. I understand they're nasty. But these are not teams that are chucking the football all over the field. So, current number, lean Buffalo, lean over. I'm not pulling it. I have the trigger pulled already on Buffalo at 4.5. At 7, I wouldn't do it. And the total wise, I'm comfortable with my position on this game, so I'm not going to play the over. But at the current number, that's the only way I would look.
Comic Ricky liking the over as well. Reese backing up your sentiment, saying they are run teams. The win will not have the effect like people think. Over is the play. Over is the play. All right, let's keep moving on to this Kent State, Utah State. And still people coming in saying Kent State. And we believe that's because of the Love situation. But at this point, he's going to be in the lineup, right?
Yeah, Love's playing. No one got suspended off that incident. So Utah State has their full complement, and that's why the money's, got bet all the way down to 4.5, and it's been bet up 6.5 yesterday, 7 today. I'd only look at the Kent side in that game. I understand that Love is playing. I also understand that he's going to the NFL next year, that he's got bigger fish to fry, and that you want to talk about a team that may not be fully focused on the task at hand, that's been through a lot of distractions this week. That's Utah State. The problem, of course, that they'll beat up Kent State in the trenches. But everyone's looking. It's so funny. The people that don't watch any college football all year, and they go and look at the stats. They look at Kent State's defense. Oh my God, you can't take Kent State. This guy's good. They couldn't name one player on Kent State. They haven't watched Kent State all year. That's who controls the marketplace. Okay, there's the guys who are looking at these, running through the stats, and Kent State's defense is bad, and the Macs has historically been bad. And Kent State or pass for me at this price. Clearly, I won't lay with Utah State. Certainly not -7.
And would you agree with this market move on the total? It's shot up to 68.5, 69 at UH from an opening line at Pinnacle at 65.
Well, again, Kent's season-long defensive stats stink. And Utah State just got their quarterback and their running back that are going to play. So, I can understand why the total has moved up. Not my money. Although it's not a game I'm excited about playing the under by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm not going over. I'm not going to ask these two teams to get to 10 touchdowns.
All right, there is the Friday bowl games. Let's start hammering Saturday's card now. I know some of your looks, but let's start hammering them game by game, starting with the earliest and ending with the App State game. And we know that you're on App State there, but we'll go through them individually. All right, let's go. North Carolina A&T, Alcorn State. North Carolina A&T opening up at -2.5. There are still 2.5. Pinnacle's moved it to 3. Alcorn State total in this spot is 51.5, and it has not moved. Teddy, is there a move to make here?
These are two FCS teams that I have not watched once all year. I couldn't tell you one player. I don't think I could tell you the team nickname. Certainly not for North Carolina AT&T. No, that's only called a bowl game because somebody called it a bowl. It's not a real bowl game. These aren't the teams we've been betting on or watching all year. Pass.
Moving on to Central Michigan, San Diego State. No, it's not one of your plays. Why did I think... Central Michigan +3.5. Sorry, I had San Diego State in my mind. Yes, you jumped on Central Michigan at +3.5, which is where the line stands now. This total opened up at 41, is now at 40.5 everywhere except Bookmaker, that's still hanging the 41. How do you feel about your look on Central Michigan +3.5, and what do you think of this low total?
So I don't love it. I got to say this is one that I don't love, but I'm probably going to hold it unless I find an opportunity. If I can lay 3 with the Aztecs, I may get off this. But I'm not convinced I'm going to be able to lay 3 with the Aztecs, in which case I'll probably hold it. There's worse wagers out there than Central Plus more than a field goal against a pretty dicey San Diego State offense. I am very concerned about the Aztecs' excitement level for this game, and that was why the initial lean, Central's fits into a trend and a strong trend, backing teams that won one or fewer games the previous year and go bowling the next year. They're monsters ATS, like 85%. Teams that won 3 or fewer games the previous year, which is a much bigger sample size, than go bowling the next year, they too have been very profitable, better than 70% with a decent sample size on those. So Central fits into those categories. The Chippewas' strength on the defense side of the football is their front seven, and San Diego State has had all kinds of problems on their offensive line all year. That offense hasn't worked for extended stretches this season. So I do think that the Chips will be able to, not that San Diego State has many offensive explosions, but I don't look at the Aztecs having an offensive explosion in this ballgame. And of course, from an excitement standpoint, Central's thrilled to be here. This is a one-win team last year that's going bowling. San Diego State is going to a venue where they play every other year. There's no excitement about going to Albuquerque for the Aztecs. So there's lots of rationale for Central Michigan. Problem is, I can't figure out how the Chips are going to score in this game. So the under makes a ton of sense. First 1 to 20 wins. And again, Central's in my pocket. It's not one of my stronger opinions at this stage, but I haven't found any profitable way or reasonable. I don't hate it that I'm going to get off it. If I'm going to get off it, I'm going to get off it with some type of positive expectation middle. And if I see a 3 on the Aztecs, like I said, I'll bite, but I don't think I'm going to get there.
That's a great breakdown. Renee Merado has a question. I was about to answer it for you because I think I know your answer, but then I stopped myself and I deleted it because I was like, I shouldn't put words in Teddy's mouth, even though I think I know your answer here. He says, ask Teddy if he would buy the half point on Buffalo to get 6.5.
Jimmy, what's my answer to that question?
Absolutely not. You missed the spot. Don't pay this kind of juice. It's irresponsible capping.
Correct. It's not capping. Again, there's capping skills and there's betting skills. And there's lots of guys that have good capping skills, but the betting skills are suspect. And that's typical because the betting skills develop over time just as the capping skills do. The more you do it, hopefully the better you get at it. But yeah, again, this was widely available for weeks at minus 6.5. Now you say, all right, let's get minus 6.5 and lay extra juice. Sure, you can do that. But it's not a positive expectation wager at that price. At minus 120, it isn't. So, no, I don't buy half points.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. We have another FCS spot. I don't know if it's worth talking about, but it's on the odds page here. Only 5 dimes has anything out of it. It's North Dakota State as a big minus 17.5 favorite with a total of 47. Do you have any insight on this spot, or do we want to move on to Liberty Georgia Southern?
And this is important to note, okay? With the FCS games, there's a handful of them, as you mentioned, tomorrow, and then there's the Celebration Bowl, which is 2 teams that I haven't followed all year. When it comes to bowl season, when it comes to March Madness, the teams that I haven't watched once from conferences that I don't follow, I'm not playing those games. Why? Why not bet the teams you know, the teams you followed, unless there's a darn good reason, unless you got a big bet against, and a team that you followed is playing someone in a conference that you don't know, then maybe you get involved. But in matchups of 2 teams that I haven't seen once all year, no. Someone else can bet those games.
Teddy gave out the Liberty Georgia Southern over 57.5. I believe it was yesterday, at least within the last 48 hours. It's now at 58.5. Liberty Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern opening up at minus 6. Now there's 4s on the board. There is a few 4.5s left. We know that you like the over in this. What do you think about the side? And you can, review why you're on the over.
And literally, as we're speaking, like since you brought that up, I just glanced over at this SPR Live on screen. Someone's betting the under at penny right now, which means the markets are likely to move to the under in the next few minutes or a few hours, whatever it takes. But there's under money coming in right now. I still like this over, okay? I do. When you look at the Georgia Southern offense, I understand it's an option attack. I understand they have a little bit of extra time, Liberty does, to prepare for this, okay? I don't think it matters that much, okay? What is it? I think 6 different guys for Georgia Southern had a run of 50 yards or more this year. The option creates big plays. You're facing a defense that's undersized, a little bit slow. not primed to stop it. And the other end of the equation, Liberty can chuck the football around. That's their MO. We've seen them play more than their fair share of shootouts against weaker defensive foes, and Georgia Southern's not an elite defense. So I do think that both offenses ruled the day in that one. From a side standpoint, I don't have anything strong. I really don't. They've been betting Liberty heavy. I know Liberty's excited about the game. I'm still not convinced they're better than Georgia Southern, and I'm not convinced they're getting stopped. So you won't find me in the Liberty train. Over to me is the bet that makes the most sense here. And again, the markets bet it, and now we're seeing some action back the other way as we speak. So I'll investigate that when we get off air, but I'm not overly concerned. It's I'm locked in on it. And it's not a bet that I'm looking to bet the other way. I will go into kickoff with Georgia State Liberty over 57.5 in my pocket.
It's a good look.
Georgia Southern.
I'm looking forward to see if anything changes there, if it does drop for a second, because I have yet to tail that, and we know that Babano likes that look as well. Next up, SMU, Florida Atlantic. SMU opening up at -3. Now we have 3.5s on the board. This total's dropped up to 4 points. Opened at 72 at Pinnacle, now at 68.5 at Pinnacle, 68 at Bookmaker, still a 69 at Intertops. SMU, Florida Atlantic, Teddy.
This one feels like it might be fun. But the problem is, FAU, about their coach, about their play caller. I worry about their offense in this ball game. And if you're going to play SMU, you better be scoring touchdowns. And, again, we talk a lot about the coaching changes, the coordinator changes, the play callers. When they leave town, it matters. Oftentimes it matters more than when the coaching, the head coach moves on. So for FAU, I do worry about an offensive drop. I'm sort of the market. I thought this total would get bet up, and that hasn't been the case. And SMU is an over machine all the way. That's what that's the style that Dykes plays. Obviously, in Buechele, they have a quarterback who can move the football against just about anyone. The receiving core is right. Has weapons. Of course, this game's being played in Boca at FAU's home stadium, and the home field is worth something in this ball game, but. The impression I've gotten from the coaching issues at FAU is that they're not a team I want on Saturday. So that's a game I'm passing. I didn't come close to that, but I didn't come close to doing anything on the next one either. The Florida International, Arkansas State. Of all the bowl games, that might be the one that I have the least opinion on. So those are two games that I didn't even come close to making a move.
And 5 Dimes has moved the Liberty Georgia Southern total from 58.5 to 58. So Heritage has moved it down to 58 as well. Be interesting to see what happens to that in the next 48 hours. So there's SMU, Florida Atlantic, Florida International, Arkansas State. Then we get to Washington, Boise State. You have no play on this at this point. We will go over all of Teddy's action that he's given out on the show. Washington, Boise State. Washington opening up at -3. There's now a 3.5 at Bookmaker. This total opened up at 49.5. It's 49 at Pinnacle and Bet Online. 48.5 everywhere else, but a 50 at Intertops. Interesting spot here, Washington, Boise State.
Yeah, it's a hard game. If I was going to play it, I would play the under. From total standpoint, that's the only thing that's the only bet that makes sense to me. From a side standpoint, I'll tell you why this is such an easy pass for me. All right. Everyone's talking Chris Peterson's last game. There was a disconnect between Peterson and his team this year. That's why he's quitting. Okay. I'm not convinced that there's any love lost between the Huskies players and their head coach. I really don't. And all this, rally around Peterson, right? Washington was mediocre this year, all year. The offense didn't work all year. The senior graduate transfer QB didn't mesh with his teammates all year. No, I'm not going to say I'm not convinced that Washington's like, oh yeah, by the way, this last game in Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Bowl, they're going to be interested and win one for the coach. Not buying it. They weren't very good this year. Boise wanted to be they wanted to be the group of 5 entering into the New Year's Day bowl games. They didn't get it. Now they're stuck going to Vegas. They go to Vegas all the time. Not one of the more exciting trips for Boise. It's fun to go to Vegas if you're wherever, but when you go there every other year, it's not as dramatic a trip, and especially when you had your sights set on a better bowl game and you put the season together to have a better bowl game, and then you end up in Vegas again. I'm not convinced Boise's super excited about this game either. I respect both these defenses a lot. I don't respect the Huskies' offense at all. And at times, Boise's been stopped by the better defense. The Huskies' defense is real. So do lean under in this ballgame. It's not supposed to be a particularly nice day in Vegas tomorrow either.
I love it. I love it. Okay, the next spot, the final look on the card, Robert Cherry on App State minus 17. You gave out App State on this show up minus 16.5. There is 17s at BetOnline and Bovada. 16.5s at a lot of other books. A 16 at Bookmaker. Why are you backing 20th ranked App State?
Because I don't think that UAB can step up in class. It really comes down to it. Yeah, it's a Blazers team that, to say they beat up on the weak isn't strong enough. I believe they had the single weakest schedule of any bowl team in college football. And 3 times they stepped up, and 3 times they got annihilated. They could not compete. And every other game, they were laying points to some crappy foe. I understand App State's been through a lot. And maybe they don't show. And if they don't show, I'm not going to win this bet. UAB did show character this year. But App State has the potential to win this game by as many points as they want to. And we've seen enough go for the jugular from this team that I was comfortable laying the price. Did I love it? No. It's a step-up wager? No. But I got App State in my pocket. And it's more of a fate of UAB than any other factor. There's a talent and speed differential between these two teams. There really is.
It sounds like you're less bullish about that look after a few days. Am I reading that right?
Yes, I don't love it. I'm not going to bet on. I don't think I'm going to get off it. I'm not going to get off it. But as often happens throughout the course of the week, it's something you liked, and then you like it a little bit less, and then you smell the nuance a little bit. This is definitely a game where there is a sharp square divide, and I'm on the square side. That doesn't freak me out, but at the same time, I don't love it when it's a single event TV game on Saturday night and I'm on the square side and the sharp money's coming the other way. It's not something I love.
Our Nut Flush Allen, whom we love dearly, is on the App State team total over. I don't have that in front of me. I could pull that up. What do you think of Nut Flush's look there?
I think if App State goes over, they're likely to cover. So I don't know. There's obviously a clear correlation between the two. If App State shows and plays offense the way they're supposed to, UAB is not going to trade points with them. There's not. They don't have an offense that's capable of doing that. So to me, it's half a dozen from column A, 6 from column B. It's almost it's a comparable wager.
There were 2 totals that you brought up while breaking down this card that I wrote down. They sound appealing, and Cappers in the chat liked them as well. First off, I'm wondering if you may get to the window with them, and what do you think about us getting to the window with them? That being the Central Michigan San Diego State under. You can get 41 at Bookmaker, and the Washington Boise State under. You can get 49, or you can get 50 at Intertops. The way you broke those 2 games down, both of those sound appealing. Do you think you might get to the window with either of those 2 unders? And what do you think of us getting to the window with those 2 unders? So
they're both in the lean category. I doubt that I'm going to bet either one because I know I'm not going to make the San Diego State Central under at 41. In college football, I just don't bet a lot of unders in this range. If one stupid big play and you're already sweating, and both teams have the capacity to create turnovers and score on defense. So that's one that I wonder that I lean that way, but I'm not going to get to the betting window. Of the 2, I'd be more likely to get to the betting window with Boise Washington. Unfortunately, the markets are there with me. We've already seen some under in that game. The total came out a notch or 2 lower than I hoped that it would, and I thought that it would. But in my mind, that would be the stronger of the 2. But I haven't bet either one. So I certainly wouldn't talk any of you out of betting either one, but I personally haven't bet either one yet.
All right. This is fascinating. I loved it. And then Rich Kemp has a tricky question to answer, and we do want to get into NFL. Rich Kemp saying, can you ask Teddy, are there any trends on first half, second half wagers for bowl games?
Yeah, there is one. And it's a trend. there's one that comes to mind. I mean, I'm sure there's dozens, I'm sure. And actually, someone sent me a really good first half one yesterday, and I'd have to look it up for the email. I don't remember it offhand, but it was the first half one that made wow. But when it comes to the marquee games, A-class versus A-class teams, somebody kills them in the first half, they're going to kill them in the second half. I do not bet the bounce back in the second half. I don't bet the team that got smacked plus 17.5 in the second half, like I bet like I bet the Rockets plus 13.5 at halftime last night, in the adjusted game line. In the NBA, you get that. In the bowl games where it's class versus class and one team is smacking the other one, I expect that to continue after halftime, not the flip. So that's the one thing that has absolutely stood out to me over the years in bowl action is I'm not looking for the turnaround in the second half and it's different when it's lesser teams, but class versus class, you don't look for the second half turnarounds. You expect the blowouts to continue.
Oh, that was great stuff. Great answer. Let's move on to NFL very, very quickly, and I wish we had more time. First off, Saturday, we got 3 spots: Houston, Tampa, Buffalo, New England, LA Rams, San Francisco. And the plus 6.5 for the Bills and the Rams look nice for me. Something that no one's talking. Let's start with this Rams-Niners game. Nobody's talking about Weston Richburg tore his ACL. He was going to be a Pro Bowl center. Now you have a backup center in Ben Garland coming in. The Niners are dealing with a ton of injuries. No Tart, no Julian Taylor, no D Ford. Sherman and K1 I say they're playing, but they're banged up. I know the Rams looked terrible last week, and Gurley's come back to earth, but Bosa's going to get double teamed. DeForest Buckner doesn't look good. Goff has looked bad when he deals with pressure. With the injuries on the Niners defense, they're not going to dial up pressure because you're going to double up Bosa. I see the Rams plus 6.5 a look here. On Saturday, I see the Bills possibly a plus 6.5, but I'm going to get to the window with Rams plus 6.5, and the Niners are my team. Is there any looks on that first 3 games on Saturday that you're interested in?
Yes, but I did find that trend I was talking about that my buddy sent me yesterday. And this one went 8-2 last year and 9-1 in 2017. He says if this is for the smaller conference. I talked about the bigger conference games and the marquee matchups. This is the smaller conference game. This is minor bowls up through December 27th, and then the ones from January 2nd to January 6th. If one team leads their opponent by 21 or more at halftime, you just bet the team that's winning in the second half. The teams that are getting smacked in the lesser bowl games don't come back either. So, for what it's worth. When it comes to 49ers and the Rams, I'm not going to play that game. I know I'm not going to lay with San Fran. I had an opportunity to talk with a bookmaker I respect yesterday. He's like, we're going to be loaded with 49ers money. We're going to need the Rams. And again, the single event game on Saturday night, all the parlays, all the teasers tied up into it. I'm not going to bet against the books in that spot, and they will need L.A. And you talked about the 49ers injury situation is not minor. Okay. They are crushed with key injuries right now. Being healthier for the postseason is more important than winning the division. Because if they win the division and nobody's healthy, they're not going to win a game anyway. We'll see how they play it. But the problem is taking the Rams plus, man. You think the Rams are going to show? I'm not convinced. I don't know what the Rams are going to do. I'm sure they'll be up for playing San Fran. I'm not sure if they're good enough to do anything about it. So not a game I'll play. I did pull a trigger on Buffalo. Plus 6.5 in New England. And this is the one, and mind you, I've avoided playing the betting against the Patriots and betting against the Patriots, and I avoided it. And this week I didn't avoid it. So I'll tell you, my track record in these games is like, it feels single digits, but I think it's a little bit higher than that. But my track record long-term fading New England isn't particularly good. But I think the Bills are as good or better than the Patriots, and I couldn't resist the plus 6.5. I think Buffalo's live to win the division.
Saturday, and I know we got to put a bow on this show, but on Sunday's card and the Monday nighter, what appeals to you? What have you got to the window with?
So I haven't done much. It's a fairly light week for me in the NFL. I played Arizona at Seattle. I got a full plus 10 in that ball game. I talked about getting the 3 with Tennessee, and then I didn't. But I put 2.5 in my pocket, which I usually don't do, but honestly, I think the Titans are going to win that game from a spot standpoint. So, and that's only 2 moves I made. I played Buffalo, Arizona, and Tennessee. 3 dogs for in the NFL, and that's literally all I have right now. I haven't played anything else.
Okay, we have some questions coming in. We don't really have time for anything really, but one question came in from our guy G-Sauce, has asked Teddy about my Colts. This Indianapolis-Carolina game is a stay-off for me. Do you have any lean with the Colts at home as 6.5-point favorites against the Panthers?
My lean was Carolina plus. Look, we've seen all the young quarterbacks in their first starts. I mean, the numbers are crazy this year with the quarterbacks making their first start covering point spreads. I don't know that Indy can be laying 6.5 right now, 7, let alone. I mean, there's 7s out there. So I lean towards the dog. But Carolina's defensive numbers are so bad that I couldn't get there. I'm like, I know I don't want to win with Indy. I want to be on Greer. I'm a Greer believer for what it's worth. But the Panthers' defense, I mean, they haven't stopped anyone doing anything in the better part of the last month, and that kept me off the game.
That kept me off the game, too. I have Panthers plus 7 question mark. I also have a question mark towards the over, and basically that breakdown makes me want to make a move on the over. It hasn't really moved. It moved a half point at some books, but you can still get it at 46. Actually, it's 47 at you wager. Would you try to get over that total?
That makes sense, but I don't know what Carolina's going to do with Greer. I don't know what kind of game plan they're going to have, and I've been looking for info on that, and I really haven't found anything in terms of is he going to be chucking it downfield or not. There's hope for Greer, for what it's worth. And if I had to play the total, that would absolutely be the way that would look. The problem, that Colts red zone defense is pretty good, though. That is an issue with this total. Against the Saints, look, the Saints are a different animal right now. But against a lesser offense, Indy's red zone defense has been real good all year, forcing teams into field goals, not touchdowns. And that's obviously your nightmare scenario when you're playing over. So it'll stay in the lean category for me. I'm not going to get to the window with that.
The final spot here, okay, maybe we'll see if David Stewart, we can pop that question in. But I feel like the Broncos are having a happy ending to their season and the Lions are in turmoil. And I think this could be a spot where Broncos smash. I wish the weather was terrible. It's not. As of Wednesday night, it was 55 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 6 miles per hour on Sunday. But I think the Broncos smash here. What do you think of this Broncos-Lions spot?
I know I don't want the Lions. Yeah, again, you're asking them. I mean, you can. There's still 6.5. There are a couple of 6.5s out there with juice. It's one of those games. If you liked it, you got to be laying 6.5. I'm not going to ask Denver to beat anyone by more than a touchdown. So that's one where your betting skills are important. I wouldn't argue. Conceptually, yeah. I'm not against you at all. But I don't want to lay a touchdown and ask Denver to win by 8 or more. Have they won a game by 8 or more this year? Not many.
I hear that. I just have a feeling that they just punch the Lions in the mouth, but it's a mistake that I haven't made the move yet. Okay, fine. We got to go. David Stewart, I don't play teasers myself. David Stewart asking, do you think the Ravens-Seahawks is a good teaser?
With teasers, it's real simple, okay? There's only 2 types of teams you're allowed to tease. You're allowed to tease short favorites of less than a field goal. The -1s, -1.5, -2, -2.5. All right, sorry. You tease the short when a favorite is -1, -1.5, -2, -2.5. You tease the dog and you get them up to more than a touchdown. When the favorite is -7.5, -8, -8.5, you tease them down to less than a field goal. And that's all I look for in teasers is those 2 particular categories. I'm going to tease the small dogs up over a touchdown. You have to get every key number to make a teaser's math right. You need to put the 3, the 4, the 6, and the 7. All 4 of those have to go in your pocket to make the teaser's math profitable. And then it becomes a positive expectation wager. And that's what the wise guys do every week. They pound these teasers. But it's always the same type of teams on the 6-point teaser that they're looking for. They're betting the short dogs up to more than a touchdown. They're betting the favorites of more than a touchdown down to less than a field goal. So you talk about Seattle sitting at 10 or even 9.5. I guess you can do a 7-point teaser down to 2.5. But the juice on that is not one that I like to lay. I usually play 6-point teasers when I play them.
That was a great answer and a great way to put a bow on this show. Let's have a big, giant weekend. Big, giant weekend. This is Teddy's action. I'll pull it up right now, and very, very interested. Big bowl week. Teddy's on Buffalo -4.5. App State -16.5, Central Michigan +3.5, Liberty, Georgia Southern over 57.5, and that's for the weekend stuff. On Monday, we'll go over more of it, but he's also on Marshall +17.5, a little sprinkle on the money line, and then throughout the future bowl game, Spartans -3, Temple +5.5. Teddy, thank you so much for joining us. He's also on the New York Knickerbockers this evening. Follow him on Twitter at Teddy_covers. Teddy, thank you so much, man. It's such a pleasure to work with you. Ian Cameron will be here with you on Wednesday the 23rd, but now we'll be back in action with you later in the week. Much love to you, Teddy. Have a wonderful Christmas, wonderful holidays, and thank you for sharing your insight and hard work with us, my friend.
Hey, my pleasure. Hey, in terms of the schedule for next week, we got a show Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, offhand?
Yes, we have a show on the 23rd and the 26th. Those will be hosted by Ian Cameron, and then I'll be back with you on the 27th.
Awesome. So we'll talk to everyone on Monday, and we'll get a chance to give Christmas greetings then. But for you, Jimmy, I got to give them now. Merry Christmas, brother. I've enjoyed this immensely. And good luck out there, lowbaggers. Kick some ass this weekend. Let's make some money. A little Christmas present for all of us.
Oh, what a great guy. All right, let's get after it. Let's have a big Friday. I got the Audible at 4 p.m. Eastern as well with Whale Capper and Donnie Rightside. And then at 5:30 p.m. we have the Late Show with Maxwell Smart. I'm on a couple looks here. I've got to make some more moves, and thank God we have a late show today. But this is what I'm on right now, and I bet nothing already in the morning. I'm on the Panthers -1, going for a big score against the Stars. I'm going to be on the Devils first period, but money keeps coming in on the Capitals, so I'll just wait. I'm on the under 6.5 in Leafs Rangers, and I'm on the under 6 in Penguins Oilers. In NBA, I have not made many moves, and I've got to look over it more, but I am on the under 230 in Wizards Raptors, and I'm on the -4 with the Thunder at -105. I'm interested in a couple more looks that our Junior Brown is on, but that's going to take a little time. So I will see you guys on the Late Show, and I won't see you guys on the 23rd and 26th, but I'll give you guys more information about that on the Late Show. Hope to see you guys on the Audible, but most importantly, and I know you wanted this from Teddy, I know you guys did, and I'm sorry it's going to be from me. Let's Halos Bookmakers!